Hello and welcome back to the channel, where today we're talking about something different. So recently the much anticipated Dakar Desert Rally was released for, well, all platforms. This is a game I've been waiting for a long while, ever since Dakar 18 came out. For people that don't know, I worked for a Dakar team, technically, for the last bit of 2022. I worked for South Racing Middle East / Sabretooth, all one team, but I sat in an office and looked outside at Dakar cars every day. I went to Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge. I've been out with the cars quite a few times, so when this game was announced I feel like I had a little bit more of an insight as a sim racer and also someone that's worked in this environment, so I feel like I can give a somewhat intellectual opinion, as much as my small brain will let me. So let's talk about the game. In short, the game is interesting, I think is the correct word. I don't want to say bad, because there are certain aspects of the game that are really quite cool, but in its current state the game is very poorly optimized. It's missing a lot of the features that it was promised at launch, including the roadbook editor, the stage editor, the free roam. It's not in a great state as it is. It doesn't run fantastically. Now, bearing in mind I do have a fairly old PC, but it runs every other sim racing title, including stuff like Automobilista 2, which is quite a good looking sim to run. It struggles a little bit with this, having to reduce the quality right down. At launch it didn't support Fanatec wheels, which is mind-blowing considering they spoke about Fanatec wheels throughout the whole thing. And just the general PR and launch of the game just was, you know, a bit messed. I've been on the Discord now for over a year, waiting for this game to come out, and the drip feeding of information from the company was not fantastic as a community. I had my reservations about this game coming out. I was excited for it, but I was definitely unsure of how it would turn out. Now, you know, to not completely shit on the game, there are some things that are absolutely awesome about this game. There are cars in this game that I have sat in and drove around in as part of my job, and I can do exactly the same, and they look identical down to the tiniest minute details, especially on like the Can-Am. The details are absolutely awesome and they look fantastic. They've done such a good job of capturing the cars in all of their high quality detail. That is absolutely fantastic. The breadth of cars across all of the classes of Dakar are fantastic. Everything from the bikes to the quads, SSV, side-by-sides, T1s, T5 trucks. It's fantastic how many of the cars they managed to get in, because in Dakar 18 there was a very limited amount of cars, bikes, trucks and all that in the game. So it's nice to be able to drive for teams that I have worked for or worked with, including all my clubs. Some of the locations, when they're not popping in and popping out and everything's running quite well, most of the locations actually are very beautiful to look at. When the game is working, it's a beautiful game to look at, and they've captured Saudi Arabia fantastically. That's probably where I finish on what's good. Actually no, to be fair, if this was an arcade racer just on controller, even though it's terrible on controller, if it was an arcade racer on wheel, a bit like Forza Horizon, if that's what they marketed it as, I would have been completely fine with that. It came at a reduced cost. It's not terrible as an arcade racer. As a simulation of the Dakar Rally, going up against other rally racing sims such as Richburn Rally, Dirt Rally 2, WRC series, it's terrible. It's the physics on the game are not even close to something like Richard Burns Rally, which is a game that came out in 2002. It's nowhere near Dirt Rally, and it's not even close to WRC. The force feedback, I've messed around with every single setting in the game. I cannot get it to feel good. I've got it feeling enough that I can drive with it, but it feels pretty awful all in all. Most of the cars don't have any different handling characteristics. They all feel a bit boring to drive. I've been mostly driving the Can-Am and the Nissan Navara T1. Most of them feel exactly the same to drive. I've got a shift in the T1, I don't have the shift in the Can-Am. All of them feel just samey. The trucks feel okay, and then you go to the bikes and the quads and they're absolutely diabolical on the controller. Overall as a package it's not that engaging to drive. Now I'm getting quite a lot of fun out of it because I'm driving cars that I've been around in real life, and I think for people that have a real interest in the Dakar, there is something to be had with this game. But unless they can fix a lot of the major physics issues, the general just not being able to get a good drift on and counter steer your way out of it, just, you know, the AI driving like absolute madmen, turning it into basically like Demolition Derby meets Mario Kart. The damage model is interesting, but there's still not that much punishment for going 150 kilometers off a 80-foot dune and just landing on your wheels, which is not particularly how you're supposed to drive these cars, but there is a good game, I think, deep down in there. I just think it's going to take a lot of work to somewhat get it out. So lastly, I thought we'd jump into Dakar and do a little drive, and I'll talk through some of the issues that I'm finding in the game. So, welcome to Dakar Desert Rally. Here's the game. Hello, welcome. But there you go, title screen and all that. I'm not going to go through all the settings and show you the back end. If you want to do that, go look at someone that's a better reviewer than me. I'm not even going to really jump into the career mode. I just wanted to jump in and have a quick drive and show you what I think. So we're going to jump into a T1, and funnily enough, the T1, fun story, these gloves were given to me from my boss Tom when I was working for them. So we'll drive the car that these gloves went with, if that makes any sense whatsoever, which is this one. There we go. The Sabertooth Motoring Adventure Redline Nissan Navara T1. Absolute beast of a car. Just for the sake of fun, we'll do it on sport mode. So sport mode, you're going to have big beacons in the sky to show you where to go. I'm still unlocking a lot of the rallies, but I think could maybe do... Okay, so when you start the stage, obviously you have the bivouac, and you can do your car repairs in the bivouac, which is, you know, pretty on point for Dakar. Obviously this is a 2021 stage of Dakar, driven in the 2020 cars, so don't think too hard about it. So let's drive. So unlike what you might know about the Dakar, is that everyone sort of starts at the same time, a bit like some sort of arcade racing sprint race. The handling model is so bland that you don't really need to pay attention. Like, I can drive one-handed. The force feedback is not non-existent, it's just terrible. I'm getting feedback. Is the feedback telling me anything about what this car is doing? Maybe 10%. Most of it is just point and steer. You get a bit of rumble in the wheel. Now that's something developers can fix with patches, but there's a lot of things to fix in this. As you can see, you can fly off dunes and there's not that much of a punishment. You will damage the car eventually, but the speed at which this is run just, you know, isn't particularly what I know about the Dakar, and especially from this Dakar 2020, I have gone through hours and hours and hours and hours of footage. I have watched every single angle of the 2020 Dakar from this car, so I have a little bit of an idea how it went. For some reason the AI can just fly up in 5th gear up this hill, but you know, some of the stuff, like this feels a bit better. I like definitely the slower speed stuffs when you're having to sort of maneuver your way up a dune. That is great fun, and that's where the physics work a little bit better in this game. Outside of that, it's mainly just a flat race most of the time, and then you get to this kind of stuff, and this is fun. I like the it just, for a company that made SnowRunner, you would think there'd be more of this. Oh, I don't know if I can get up this hill. Stupidly tried to go up in 3rd gear. See, that's the fun side of it, the actually having to traverse difficult terrains. Completely missed the waypoint. There is also no penalty whatsoever for crashing into people. You can pit maneuver people, you can crash into them. There doesn't seem to be any penalty for it. The AI will do it. There's no penalty really for doing this. And one of my biggest issues is, if you get into a slide, there is absolutely no way to save it. And as much as we can blame it on my ability as a terrible sim racer, which would be fair enough, I do a lot of this in Dirt Rally and WRC, and I've never had an issue whatsoever. Like, I can drift a car in a simulator. I think a lot of the entertainment for me on this comes from the novelty. The problem is the novelty wears off pretty quickly. And once the novelty wears off, look, watch this, you can actually absolutely just... Yeah, that's all that you get told of. No penalty. I just murdered a motorcyclist. Crashed into this guy. There's no penalty for it whatsoever. You know, the Dakar just becomes a demolition derby. And like I said, once the novelty is worn off, it's hard to grind your way through to, you know, the level 25 you need to actually compete in the Dakar. To fit the entirety of the Dakar and almost the entirety of Saudi Arabia into a video game and a map, the distances have been shortened. The distances have been condensed, but they've kept the same number. So you'll see, for example, hello, 2 Sabertooth Nissan Navaras at the front there. Tom and Patrick versus, I think, me and Tom. So let's talk about distances. So we are starting off 2 kilometers away. Now, that 2 kilometers, if you may have noticed, has come up very quickly. So the distances are on paper the same, but they've been condensed together. So what you think would be 2 kilometers isn't actually 2 kilometers, and when you're listening to the notes on professional mode instead of sport mode, where you've not got the markers in front of you, listening and going, oh, okay, I've got 2 kilometers, I know roughly how long that's going to be, and then within about 4 seconds you've got your waypoint on you because all the distances have been condensed. It's a little bit confusing when you're trying to navigate using the road book. And you get away from the sport mode into professional mode, and I'm sure Dakar mode, you can navigate through the road book. You can even study the road book before the stage, which is, you know, pretty cool. They got the navigation side and the road book side, you know, spot on. It's just a shame the driving is, it's just disappointing for a game that should have been really, really good. I think I'm maybe a bit more critical on it because I've been in and around this a little bit, and I kind of understand how things sort of work, both as a sim racer and someone that was in and around a Dakar team. These T1s are incredible pieces of machinery, and they are so much fun to be in and around, and this driving handling model just doesn't translate it at all. So it's one of those games that's probably just going to sit in my library for a long time, uninstalled, And unless I see a YouTube video from someone saying Dakar Desert Rally is completely fixed, probably gonna stay uninstalled. But I'll give it to them. I won't refund it, you know, just in case. Hopefully at one point this this game can be what we were promised. Whee! You can just crash into people, by the way, at the end. So that'll do it. Just a quick review of my thoughts on Dakar Desert Rally. Do I think it'd be worth your time? If you really, really, really have an interest in Dakar, yeah, it's not a full-priced game. Give it a go. If you have an interest in sim racing, but no interest in Dakar, I'd probably hold off on it this time and go just play Richard Bird's Rally or something like that, because there's a long way to go for this game, and I hope it gets there. But who knows at this point. Disappointing, to say the least. But that'll do it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. Who knows, there may be more videos on this channel coming up, but we'll have to wait and see. Either way, thank you very much for watching. You can like and subscribe down below if you want. All my socials will also be down in the description below. And until next time, I will see you on the next video. Goodbye.